So over to Shruti for the green mat and the applications in ophthalmology.
Good morning, one and all. I'll be talking on the green mat user. So I think we all know that the moment COVID started, we entered into era of basically it was all free webinars, and it actually was useful because instead of going to places, we can sit at our comfort and get all the information at our fingertips. But definitely, as ophthalmologists, we know the asthenopia symptoms that were going to happen. And yes, always the distractions in between. We tend to go towards a lot of YouTube videos and Facebook, social media, all our Amazon shopping, definitely the best way to do it. Organizing our mails, as I said, social media. And another important thing was the offline effect. Even though we were sitting on an online webinar, there was always times in which we used to feel disconnected from the speaker as well as the audience because we are not directly interacting with them. So that brings us to the offline effect in cases of online webinars. To overcome this was something that we suggested was the green mat presentations. So we use the software for our iOS devices, which is the Open Broadcaster software, which is a free software. And I'm going to teach step by step on how to use it to make sure that we can do a green mat presentation in our own places. So once we open the Open Broadcaster software, this is what you're going to get. So once you open up the toolbox over there, these are the settings that we have to go through to make sure that we can set up the green mat. So the first thing here would be to set up the audio input capture because we want our audio to be displayed properly, and obviously do that connected to whatever device that you're going to talk through, either directly at the microphone or your earphones. And then we have the video capture device. So it should be connected to the laptop's computer, laptop's camera, and then chroma key, very important setup because what mat you're going to put behind you. Sometimes some people will use a blue mat, sometimes people will use a green mat. So depending on that, set it to the appropriate color, either a blue or a green or whichever color mat you're going to place behind you. And then once that is done, now we want the PowerPoint presentation to be presented behind our back so that you're standing inside the PPT. So if that's the case, you need to go to the window capture setting and make sure in the window setting you have what PowerPoint that you want to present. And then you come to the virtual cam setup. So virtual cam is what basically where we are going to throw ourselves into the PowerPoint. So in the virtual cam setup, you're going to bring about the box of different sizes. You can either be just a small half-sized portion or even a full big-sized portion inside your presentation. And anywhere inside the presentation, you can place yourself. It can be in whichever corner you want it to be. And then finally, very important step, the moment you join your Zoom meeting, do not share your screen when you're doing the green mat presentation because directly it will be presented. You just need to go on to the Zoom. In the video section, you go set the camera to the OBS virtual cam. Ideally, it will be in our lap PC camera, but go to the OBS virtual cam. And once that is done, so this is kind of the initial setup that we had. You can see it's a very crude sort of setup because we needed to have our laptop which projects the projector onto the presentation. And then we had, if you can see, there is a small phone over there. So that basically showed the presenter where he is inside the presentation. And then this was the laptop which had the presentation actually. So we had a very crude setup initially. It took us some time to fine tune it, but finally we were able to finally we were able to bring about a much more cleaner setup. We brought it about. So we can see that we made sure that the green mat was set entirely over the presenter, and we had the screen displaying the PowerPoint in a huge one in front of him, so he was comfortable enough. And this was the laptop that displayed the presenter into the webinar, and you can see that it was all in a very well set up format. And another aspect that something, even now we feel that, even if it's an online quiz or some program that we're attending online, the drop boxes, because then the moment we close up the Dropbox, it becomes sort of like a YouTube video, an offline effect. That's what is something that we're trying to prevent. So in such scenarios, you can give movement within the frame. So you can actually move inside your frame. If you're abstracting some information inside the frame, you can actually move about and show them what it is that you're abstracting. You can point out to details inside the presentation. So this all brings about a very lively effect, but caution is do not become a floating head, because the moment we wear blue or green inside the green mat presentation, we just become a floating head. And So the final point I would like to summarize is more interactivity with the green mat presentation and gives us more clarity and creativity, because not only for the audience but for the presenter also, I guess it becomes a more interactive session, and it makes us feel like we are live over there. So thank you once again, Dr. Prasanna, for this wonderful opportunity. I would like to thank my team for this wonderful green mat presentations you are able to give. So that would be the conclusion of my first presentation. Sir, any doubts so far? Yeah, so I'll go ahead with the second video.
When we started having webinars, we were all inside boxes. So this presenter is in a box, the audience, the faculties are all in a boxes. So we are not able to have the physical face-to-face interaction. Sometimes we point at a slide, but they don't know which slide we are wanting them to see. We'll be moving the mouse over the slide. So what we try to use with this green mat technology is we can move inside the slide and we can show where we want the users or the people who are attending to see. So that's all about the technology, so that we can show them, okay, please look at here at the disk. So that means we are able to make them see there. So that was this all. So I'm able to show a pointer now, but inside the webinar I'll go in and I'll show with the green mat, you please look at here, so this is where the cup is. So something like that with technology we try to establish that.